TeachTechPlay. I'm Eleni Kyritsis and I'm one of your hosts. Now tonight's show is going to be a little bit different. We've had a little bit of a dilemma with presenters tonight. Being end of the year and being busy, it always seems to happen, but we've got some wonderful presenters here tonight that are going to share some tools with you that you can implement in the classroom. But before we get started, we need to congratulate our last month's winner. Our Play King for episode 16 was Lee, and he shared with us digital flyers and newsletters with Small, which was really, really exciting and interesting to see, and just another way that you can share things with your parents and the community of what is occurring in your classroom, which is always great. Now, for tonight, we have got a range of a few different presenters than what we had advertised. Hopefully a couple of them will join us, but they are stuck at school events at the moment, so hopefully they do make it home in time. And if not, we will have them early next year. Now I'm just going to share the slide so you know how to vote. So the link for tonight's voting is bit.ly/TTP, and that's in capitals, lowercase e17 vote. So make sure you do vote for your favourite presenter. We have just updated that for our presenters that are here, so it is going to be an exciting show tonight. Now, just one other thing before we get started. Genius Hour Fair is something that I've been working on the side. So if your students are doing Genius Hour, it's a great initiative to get their work shown all over the world and see what other students are doing. So I'm currently taking submissions for that. So make sure you submit your students' projects. Now, Michael, did you want to say hello?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Michael Harm, one of the other co-hosts of TeachTechPlay. Thanks to our two presenters currently the show for joining us at the last minute. Really wonderful to join us. And just a little bit about our conference that we launched about 2 weeks ago now. So both Blake and Paul will be speaking at our conference, so it'll be great for you guys to get a good sense of what our conference is about, and also
And Michael, you were echoing a bit there, so I'll just clarify that. So that is our conference that is upcoming next year, and it will be at Ivanhoe Grammar, and that is in the April school holidays. So for Melbourne, that is. I know that Sydney is still at teaching, and it is their last week of term 1, but make sure you do check out TeachTechPlay conference. We've had an amazing response, and we've had tickets sold across Australia, which has just blown us away. So we're excited to finally get to meet some of those wonderful viewers. So those in Tasmania, Western Australia and ACT, we're looking forward to meeting you in person, and hopefully a few others that we haven't yet met because we are online. We are looking forward to it. But yes, in the lineup to next year's conference, we will be having some of our presenters on the show, so you can get a sneak peek of what we'll be showcasing at the conference. And in the next few weeks, hopefully before the end of the year, we're hoping to also launch our sponsors for the conference. So we've had an outstanding number of companies that have approached us, and prizes, etc., that we're excited to have part of our conference. And I know Steve, who's just joined us in the Hangout as well, will probably tell us a bit more. But we might as well get started with the show now that we've got 5 presenters here, which is really exciting since the others couldn't make it. But we're going to get started with just saying a hello. So Blake, do you want to just say an introduction? We've had you on the show a few times, so just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, thank you. I'm Blake Seufert, and I seem to be feeding back there as well. Maybe you could just try and mute your mic there, Eleni. That's better. Beautiful. So I'm from McKinnon Secondary College in the southeast of Melbourne, and we're one of the first schools to go Chromebooks, which incidentally I'll be talking at the TeachTechPlay conference about, which is going to be fantastic. And looking forward to sort of sharing our journey and what we've managed to do with Chromebooks, and how we sort of tripled the usage of our Google Apps environment in just a number of weeks, sorry, with introducing them. So that's sort of my story a little bit, but part of the thing with Chromebooks is these web tools. So we use heaps of web tools across the school, and I'm always interested in new ones and exciting ones. So yeah, that's why I'm here today, to share one of those with you.
Beautiful, thank you, Blake. Next we've got Paul, and Paul is a fantastic teacher that I work with. Unfortunately, he will be leaving my school at the end of the year, but making a move to South Australia. So any viewers from South Australia, Paul is happy to connect with you guys once he moves over in January. So Paul, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Eleni. It's exciting to be here tonight. Yeah, I teach grade 5 at Fairbank Grammar, and really enjoying getting my teeth stuck into the classroom. However, next year I'll be moving out of the classroom and into the head of e-learning at a school over in South Australia. So, yeah, if there are any people in Adelaide and looking to connect, most welcome being able to get involved in the professional networks over there.
Perfect, thank you, Paul, and thanks for joining us at such short notice. And Steve, we did introduce you last month, but just tell us a little bit about yourself again.
Hello everybody, so my name's Steve Brophy. I'm the Director of ICT and e-learning at Ivanhoe. So we are very lucky to be hosting the TeachTechPlay conference, and my role basically is to bring the education lens to the IT team and to look at sort of big picture projects, infrastructure and teaching and learning at Ivanhoe. So that's me in a nutshell.
Beautiful, thank you. Now we might get started with the show tonight, and first up we'll have Blake. So Blake is going to be sharing with us today about Google Public Data. So Blake, when you're ready, let me know and I'll start the timer.
Cool, you can start the timer right now. So I'm not going to take too much of your time, but I'm going to show you a cool tool to pull in like public information that people are collecting. So a lot of big businesses, you know, NGOs or governments or even businesses like Facebook collect information all across the world, and for reasons for us to be able to sort of compare it to you know, what we're doing here in Australia, and it's a really great tool, I think, for your students to kind of get a bit of big picture thinking about what's going on in the world, more than just what's in our sort of backyard. So I'm going to share my screen now and just show you basically how to access it and how it works. Effectively, it's called Google Public Data. So if you just Google that, there's this google.com/public data directory. Now, if I open that up, basically it shows me a list of all these data sets, and they're all got really intimidating names like WTO International Trade and IF's forecast and all this sort of stuff. But you don't really need to worry about that too much. Typically, the things that we sort of dive into are the World Development Indicators or the Global Competitiveness Report. So if you wanted to look at, say, the Global Competitiveness Report, we can click in here, and it's going to give us a whole list of, I guess, what you call metrics, so things that you can look at. So if I say basic requirements, infrastructure, you know, I can drill down and just sort of try and find things. That's really a difficult way to do it. We should just use search. So one of the things I might want to look at is internet access, let's say, internet access in schools. And it'll find where that is. Okay, there's internet access in schools. It's actually a metric they measure here. So I can untick the all countries, and I can go and then select our country, say Australia, and I can compare that to maybe Canada. And what this will do is immediately graph the internet access percentage in schools. I think that's by percentage. You can use a little help thing. So where 1 is very limited and 7 is extensive. So I can start to see here Australia versus Canada. So I can show my students, you know, where we're at next to Canada. You can see we're coming up and meeting them there. Then we can put it against something, maybe a bigger country like the United States, and see how we're rating against them. We're just beating them. So you can see straight away there we can do some interesting comparisons to sort of you know, looking at different countries and how they attack you know, different policies and decisions, and how that affects what actually happens in the country. So that's one example. Another example is just broadband internet, like in houses. We can look at Australia's broadband internet going from 2007. Looks like the NBN has actually done something. It's gone to 9.92% of people have broadband internet. We can compare that into other countries here. We'll just pick as many as we like. And we can change the graph type as well. So we might want to look at that in a different graph type. So all countries average, you can see over the years. I'm pressing play there, and it's actually animating the average broadband internet subscriptions per 100 population. So that's kind of cool. And then we can see it across the world. So if I have a look at this map, this will actually show me a world map of each country.
1 minute.
Kind of a heat size on the map. So I can press play here and watch our internet sort of grow in comparison to other countries. So that's really interesting way to look at your data. So yeah, there's heaps of different ones you can look at. You can even look at something like literacy rate, which is probably more interesting for schools. And sometimes it'll say like there's not enough, not enough data to show you that. So you might have to select things. Like here, you might need to select the age bracket, 15 to 24. If I click on, hang on, what have I done? Oh, now I've done it. I think it's just stuck loading. Anyway, we can see that age bracket there. So you can start comparing a whole range of things. It's all free public information that we can look at. So yeah, that's kind of a 2-second dive into Google public data.
Thank you, Blake, for sharing that. I know that many teachers out there would love to know that that information is at their fingertips, especially for secondary schools when they are analysing different types of data. Did any of our other presenters have any questions that they'll have for Blake?
Blake, are you able to export any of that data? Do you have options to download a CSV or obviously there's screen print, but I'm wondering, is there ways you can sort of further manipulate the data or capture it?
In terms of exporting, yeah, I don't think there's any way to get like the raw data out because I think it's just an enormous amount of data. But I know that the actual data is available, like it's public data, they're just pulling in. So there probably is a way to do that. The other thing I should mention is you can also put your own data in there and make that public. So if there's something at your school you wanted to compare with, you know, like developing countries or something, you can put that in there and compare them all on the same graph, which is cool.
Perfect. Thank you, Blake. I'm sure that many people will love to look into that further, and especially those people who love their data out there and analysing things further. So thank you for joining us very last minute tonight, Blake. Next up we have Michael, my co-host, and he will be sharing to us about his Year 7 CBL sustainability project. So I'm interested to know exactly what this is, Michael. So when you are ready, let me know and I will start the timer.
No worries. Am I still echoing?
No.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Blake. It actually ties really nicely with what I'm talking about. I'm definitely going to share that website with our students tomorrow because at the moment they're looking at different data around the topic of sustainability. So for the last 3 weeks, our students have been doing a challenge-based learning project based around the model that Apple created a few years ago. And the big idea that we're exploring is on sustainability. So this is the website that you can go look at what we're up to, and all the information is publicly available to you. So we're more than happy to share any resources that we're working on. So this is the website. It gives you a really nice overview of what we're aiming to do. And it's a project that's broken into 3 stages. The first stages revolved around different departments giving devoting their class time over 2 days, just giving lessons on practical ways to talk about the topic around sustainability. Then they worked on what we called a learning matrix, which I'll show you an example of, around 8 different topic areas that revolves around this. So anything from population to waste management to air, water, food, and we based the task on Bloom's taxonomy. So students can choose a range of different activities and they'll get a point for completing each of the activity in terms of the difficulty of the task. So for instance, if they do an evaluation task, they'll get 5 points. And over the course of 1 week, they have to get 35 points to complete the stage 2 learning matrix. And when they get up to stage 3, that's the part they're up to currently, they start to filter out the information that they've learned over stage 2, and they create a passion project around or a Genius Hour, well, not Genius Hour, but passion project around sustainability. So it looks something like this. So they look at a big idea and they come up with an essential question and a challenge that they want to tackle. And then they look at different guiding questions that might guide the inquiry. And at the end, they come up with a solution that they deem would solve their essential question. I've got a few photos here to show the different types of activities that we've been doing. So they've watched different videos, they've completed different science tasks where they had a whole bunch of different waste material and they had to create a little trophy that we'll give out. In the maths class, we looked at big data and what that means around the world. In geography, we had different lecture types, lessons, and through the learning matrix, students were allowed to roam around the school to explore and find tasks that they are passionate in and want to explore further. We also have different rooftop tours where they can explore the science rooftop on top of our library, and even the Year 7 rowing team were out picking up rubbish just to grow a bit of support for the project. I had this video to show you, but don't really have time, but that'll be on our website. In terms of the presentation, it really is a matter of students utilizing all the skills that they've learned, because we're a one-to-one iPad school, and they allowed to create any type of artifact or any material they want as part of the presentation. So we have students creating songs, and a couple of groups want to create an app or game or 3D model that they're using our 3D printers to print. But again, if there's any information that you want to find, it is on our website. And I want to stop sharing my screen. I can talk all day about it and just talk about the amazing journey all these students are learning, and the engagement, the passion, and all these other words, but running out of time, so that's it.
And thank you, Michael. And I know that we've just tweeted that link out, so people that do want it can follow us on Twitter and go and have a look for themselves. And just a quick question, is that part of your MYP?
No, it's not. But
okay.
We really built the whole project around our learning framework, our school learning framework, which is making students want to be self-directed in the learning and want to inquire about certain things. So, yeah. So
the reason I ask is I know that your school is an IB school, as my school is, and we had our PYP exhibition today that I tweeted out about. And yeah, it follows on that step of what our students have just done and showcase their learning. That's sort of the next step up. So, it's a really interesting concept and interesting to see how other schools are doing it, especially in secondary. I know a lot of primary schools are doing the project-based learning, but good to see secondary. Does anyone else have any questions? No?
Yeah, Michael, do you have a scaffold to assist students if they don't come up with driving questions? I'm really always keen to find ways that other schools do it.
Yeah, so we had a few guided inquiry sessions ran by our teacher librarian team before this big project part, and we also, for next year, really want to incorporate some of this design thinking, like hexagon thinking type of style inquiry sessions into the project as well. So yeah, one of the challenges that students always want to jump straight to the solution, and you always want to then peel that back and ask them, okay, well, what are you actually, trying to achieve out of that?
Yeah, and I think many teachers can relate to that. And I know Tosh's hexagonal thinking process is something that I do use as well in that thinking stage. It does help, especially with Google and non-Googleable questions. But we better keep moving on. So next up we have got Paul Connelly, and he will be sharing with us a little bit about Schoology. And the reason he's sharing about Schoology was a bit of a change that our school is going through, and Paul was one of the test dummies of it. So he's going to share his experiences and how to use it. So Paul, when you're ready, you can share your screen and let me know, and I'll start the timer.
Yeah, thanks, Eleni. I'll just get that set up. Just while I'm doing that, Michael, love what you're doing there with the project-based learning and inquiry. It's really cool.
Thanks for that. Yep, anytime you want to pick my brain, feel free to contact me.
Thanks. Yeah, coming from a PYP environment, you know, we can't stress enough how important it is to get students to think, and I love the way that you're getting students to demonstrate that with your challenge there. Okay, Eleni, is that all good?
Yep, perfect, when you're ready.
Okay, cool. I know when it comes to learning management systems that there are a dime a dozen, but in terms of testing out for our school to see which direction we would head in terms of which learning management system we would adopt, one of the ones that I chose to look at was Schoology, and so I tested this out with my class. I've got a class of 16 students, and everyone it's a one-to-one iPad environment. So for me, critically, being able to interface with the students in a digital way, both via my laptop and also the students via their iPads, was very important. So Schoology offered both the iPad app and, of course, the web-based interface. In terms of what you see here, first impressions are that it looks very much like a Facebook-style environment. And so for me, coming from a Facebook, social media background, obviously it was very easy to adopt and move into. Obviously for the students, I teach grade 5, so they wouldn't have had a strong social media background because most places restrict to age of 13, but at either rate, it was still very, very simple to use. One of the key attractions about Schoology for me was also it's just very, very simple design. It's not overly complicated, it's just very straightforward. All the things that you see here are just very, very usual, but surprisingly intuitive and also surprisingly well-versed as well. If we take a look, for example, at all the different types of things that you can add to your various subject or what they call courses, you can see that there's so many different options, and each one has the ability for you as a teacher to be able to insert things, but also as a student for them to be able to contribute as well as also being able to provide grading and assessing across all those various different things. So say, for example, like it was really interesting to, particularly from an inquiry-based perspective, we say discussions, to then get the students to then, so I created this discussion here. This was relating to one of our units of inquiry. What's the biggest change you face in your life? I won't go into it just because it will reveal some students' private information, but suffice to say that you could then go through and students could then have good discussions about things. As far as all the courses go, the way I've decided to split up is just based on very broad areas and then can drill down using folders inside each one of those courses. What a curious aspect about Schoology is that it's not an environment where you as a teacher either invite students in or directly enroll them in. They all enroll themselves, and you provide them with an access code that you can see down here. So obviously that's a little bit cumbersome in some respects, but also kind of interesting as far as giving students more ownership over their learning. You can create groups and courses based on any kind of demand or need. So for example, if we have a look at the courses here, the homework course, for example, is across all of our grade 5 classes, so 3 classes, so approximately 50 students and 3 teachers as co-authors of that course there. But then some of the other ones, but also some of the others are also just more for my class. And of course I could have made them smaller depending on what's going on. One of the cool things is with the gradebook, actually I probably shouldn't go into that because it's going to show student names, but suffice to say that everything that you do inside Schoology relating to some kind of grading or assessing will pop up in the gradebook, and it's very, very easy to use, as well as also then being able to go through all the various analytics and that sort of thing. And so it's really cool being able to use this as a great way of being able to digitalize the classroom, provide really good differentiation between the different groups and things that you're operating with and trying to extend in their various areas. So yeah, that's sort of a very basic overview of Schoology. I found it really useful. Best thing about it, of course, is that it's free compared to lots of other learning management systems that might be quite significantly priced otherwise. So fully featured for free.
Beautiful. Thank you, Paul, for sharing that. And I know it always gets tricky, especially when you get into it because it does show student names. But I think the sense of that, our school was just looking at it as an overview. You didn't need to sign up the whole school in order to use it. You could just sort of sign up as a teacher and use it for your class, which is great for those teachers that, sometimes can't have a whole school approach but want something to manage their class and set things up. Schoology is one that they can use. And I know the other teachers that in your level have said how easy it has been to use as well. And I know that they're not always the most tech-savvy people either, so it's quite easy no matter how you go about it. Did anyone else have any questions, or are they using Schoology?
Yeah, we use it at Ivanhoe, and the great thing about it is it started by teachers, just like, they're trialing it out, and it's grown organically. So now we've got, for example, we had one methods teacher who had 1,000 hits on her Schoology page in one day, right before a SAC. So she just says it's easy to use, and the fact that it's got push notifications, it works on every device. And I'm really interested to see how you go in primary, because we're sort of in that deciding phase as well for our primary. But it's just so flexible. It's brilliant.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Perfect.
What do either of you two see as some drawbacks, or just some things that are missing from Schoology?
Yeah, for me, probably one of the biggest drawbacks I've noticed is that the performance seems to be a little bit lagging behind. Some aspects of it aren't Ajaxable, or in other words, acting as quickly as you would imagine or loading as quickly. That also could be just because they haven't got enough funding, because they're primarily going for a freemium model. But other than that, generally everything else, again, considering the cost point, seems to be quite fully, fitted out.
I'd probably add the language, because it's quite American, so you've got to adjust your language, but that's just a minor thing. It'd be great to be able to have Australianized some of the language in it. It's a grade book and assessment, whatever we call it. That would be one thing I'd change.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's always interesting. Many of these things are from the US, and the language that they use is quite different to the language that we use here in Australia. So thank you for sharing that, Paul, and thank you for jumping in very last minute. We do appreciate it. So next up is me, and I'm actually going to share a new app that I found, which is really, really exciting. So I'm just going to share my... Actually, no, I won't share my screen yet. I'll talk about it first. So as a teacher, we love Post-it notes, and I know that hang on, let me start the timer, otherwise Michael will get angry at me. And Post-it notes are something that are quick and easy, and it doesn't matter if your students don't have devices, you can all brainstorm, put it together. But then I find at the end of the day, I get left with a whole bunch, and it's really, really frustrating because they lose their stick. If you stick them on the wall, they don't. It just becomes a disaster, and then you lose one, and then it was valuable learning or valuable little discussion that had happened, and you think, oh my gosh, it would be so easy if I had taken a photo and could analyze it. Well, your dream has come true. So what I have found is an app called Post-it Plus. So Post-it Plus takes all of your sticky notes. It is designed by Post-it, obviously. And what it does is, as a teacher, you can use your iPad, your phone, anything. So it doesn't even matter if you're in a one-to-one classroom or you've got only the teacher has a device, obviously a phone or an iPad. You can take a photo and record it and print it out. So this is really, really great, especially when you've got kids doing things and you want to analyze it. But the best thing is, not only can you take a photo, so it is free from the App Store, but it's super easy. So you just spread out your Post-it notes however they are. You hold your iPad over and you just hold down the photo, and what it does is then it groups all the pictures together into a group. What you can then do is you can drag and move them, you can reorganize them into nice rows, etc. You've got some different options along the top that you can see. You can delete it, and you can also rename the group. So this is my example that I've used. But it's really, really handy because you can export it as well. You can save it in different forms, and this is something that we did today. So as I said, we have our exhibition and we've got 60-odd girls, and yes, I could have used a Padlet like I shared on last month's episode and had all the students jump on and do it. But in the spare of the moment, sometimes as a teacher, you think of something, go, okay, go back and just jot down something that you've learned, something you've loved, just write down a word or something that captures you from this. And instead of, 60 kids logging on, getting a device, sometimes it just takes that little bit of extra time. And for us, they've got Post-it notes everywhere. So grab a Post-it note, write it, stick it on the floor. Then us as teachers just took a simple photo, and then you can zoom in and you've got it documented. So as a teacher, this is really easy to analyze. You can rotate them, you can organize it, and as I said, then you can export it. So the options are, you can export it to your special post-it board, and each time you can create different boards for different things and add multiple sticky notes for it. You can add a PDF. You can put it into a PowerPoint, Excel spreadsheet, or as an image. So there are many ways you can export it. And another thing is you can also write your own. So from this previous image, the bottom left one is a big cross, and I drew that myself. So as a teacher then, you can actually add your own post-it notes after you've taken your shot, so you can analyze and add things as well. So even if you had a discussion, you could add things as it comes up. So that's the end of mine. I knew it wasn't going to be too long, but I think it was a bit of a fun thing to share that, you know, every teacher uses sticky notes, and why not use the app that is free that can just sort them and organize them in a nice way. So this was a message I just did just before. So wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we look forward to seeing you next year at the TeachTechPlay conference or online and joining with our shows. And I've got 20 seconds to spare. That's me done. Did anyone have any questions, or has anyone used it?
No, but I'm going to download it now and have a play around with it and explore.
Eleni, on any device? Is it an iPad app? Is it Android?
It's iPad, well? And I just found it on an iPad. I haven't tested Android yet, but I'll check now while you're presenting, and then I'll let you know. So I didn't quite get to that yet. But yeah, it's free and it's fun. So even if a teacher has an iPhone, you can use that, or the kids can use their iPads. And the other great thing is the kids can take multiple ones over a course of a unit, and have all their thinking and brainstorming analyzed. So even, Michael, you know how you're thinking that hexagonal thinking for the design thinking process of project-based learning, that's another great way to document the process of how that occurs. So yeah, I thought it's something that many teachers get frustrated with, these piles of sticky notes, but now we can sort them all out in a nice way. So Steve, when you're ready, you're up next.
Okay, let me just share my screen here. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes.
All right, so basically, I'm going to talk about a workflow that sort of combines this app, Trello, and also the Pomodoro technique. So first of all, I'm just going to talk about Trello. So basically, Trello is a web tool, which also has an app on the iPad, on Android, and it allows you to create little to-do lists. And the great thing about these to-do lists is you can drag them from anywhere. And the way that I have mine set up is using the Kanban technique. So you have a list of to-do, and then you have this list here, doing, and then obviously you get to do that great crossing off when you do the done. Also, a great thing about each card is you can start to create labels. So I do have a list of labels here that I use to sort of either order my thinking, or make sure that I'm working on one particular thing, or you can start to create some great little checklists. So you can see this one is an email and it's an attachment, and the great thing about each one is it has activity. So I can make a change and adjustment, and I can look at the entire workflow on that particular thing. So if I look and add a card just now, so this is my test card, and I jump into my card. Now I can add a checklist, which is brilliant. I live off checklists. And I get to do brilliant things like, once I tick it off, I get to see my little bar going across. And I might say with my label here that I am working on this one now. So I use Trello for pretty much anything. So this is basically my to-do list. But I've also used Trello, inspired by my great friend Jason Coleman, who's going to be presenting at TeachTechPlay. And we plan for primary learning. We plan for the Year 5 and 6 iPad program. So Jason's got some great work on building the app lists for 2016 together. I use it with my IT team. So we have everything from, so let me just jump into, for a staff member here, he's got his list about what he needs to do. Now, the Trello is brilliant for organising lots and lots and lots. But what I find is I tend to do the things that I want to do and leave all the things on my list that I don't want to do. So I was trying to find a way that would target me and start to hone what I do. So then I discovered the Pomodoro technique. And the Pomodoro technique is basically where you set a little timer, and it's built off half-an-hour blocks where you do 25 minutes focused on an activity and then a 5-minute break. And I use this little icon up here. So if I set a little Pomodoro, it's for 25 minutes. That's the wrong thing I wanted to do. And let's go to Pomodoro. So already it's started 25 minutes. So what I would do is I would select a particular task to work on. I would work on that for 25 minutes. I'd get a little buzzer go off on my screen, and then I would know to go and take a 5-minute break. So one of the things that works really well is if you have the Kanban technique, so you put it all in a to-do list, then you put it into a list that you prioritize that I'm going to work on doing these things, and then just using a timer to target your target your thinking and target your workflow, you find that you are incredibly productive. So I'm thinking, Eleni, that we could do something with the TeachTechPlay organisation because it's just so easy to use. I use it with with Jason to talk about all things. We email each other. We have a to-do list of what he needs to do, what I need to do. You can add people to your board. So my team, we've currently got, so we're looking at the iPad rollout. Got a list of the things that we need to do. So then we would start to allocate a person to a job. And because you can write and leave comments on each one, basically what you've got is this dialogue that sends you push notifications that work through your desktop, works on an iPad, Android, any device. And because it's so flexible, you can actually use it for a range of things. So Jason at Ivanhoe uses it to map out the writing process for students, and he uses it. This particular one is from an amazing digital leader at school. He invited me to his, and he's working on, this is what he wanted to do for the Tinker Lab that we'd set up. And we did our roadshow, obviously, with Corey and his school. So if you're looking for something to take your post-it notes and maybe do it, have a combination, and you're looking for targeting how to work, I would recommend Trello, the Kanban technique, and Pomodoro. And that's me.
That looks amazing, Stephen. I apologize. I stuffed up the timer, so it just ended. So apologies on that. You didn't get a nice little buzzer, but that looks amazing. And just with that, is that just within teacher interaction, or do the teachers also have students in there as well?
We set it up with year fives. It's probably something that we've used mainly for logistics at our end. Yeah. But you can set it up for students. You just share the board link. They sign up for an account, and then they're added in. And it's a really good way because you get push notifications. So if you're trying to teach students about being digitally organised in a one-to-one program, it's a really good accompaniment.
Yeah, and I can see heaps of ways you can use it. And I love it how you can assign different people different jobs, and it just sort of organizes everything, which is very nice. So thank you. Did any of our other presenters have any questions for Steve?
Yeah, Steve, just wondering, how does a student account creation happen? Is that each person signs up, or is there some sort of SSO thing? Or?
Well, you can go down the SSO. You can go for Trello Gold and Platinum. It's Trello is the freemium at the moment, and when you sign up initially, you get the Trello Gold, and you can do all those sort of bells and whistles. So we've just sort of, weighted up whether the cost of getting all students in and managing it versus just sort of tinkering. So we're really at the tinker stage with the students, but it does have that option.
How much is it, Steve?
The Trello Gold, I can't tell you off the top of my head. It's not extortionate, but if you do refer other people and they sign up, you get kind of a bonus month of Trello Gold. So if you want to introduce your friends and just make sure they come via you, and then you'll get loads of time for free.
So it's a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, just basically, yeah. It's a rort, but hey.
Always fun. And just before we nearly ended the show, Amy has just joined us, and I know that the time difference is probably something that sort of played with you, Amy, but I know that you've got an amazing tool that I've actually been trialing a little bit that you're going to showcase tonight on our show as well. So if you want to introduce and just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then if you want to just share your screen, and then I'll start the timer 4 minutes and we can get started. I can't quite hear you, Amy. Hopefully we can pick. No. If you're all right, hopefully she'll come back. But while we're waiting, I did love, Steve, how you said Jason Coleman, and I know he will be presenting at the TeachTechPlay conference next year, and you've shared a little bit about him in the past to me, and I'm extremely excited to hear what he has to share and what he's doing in his classroom. Every time you mention it, it's something new and exciting, so I'm excited to see what he has to offer.
Yeah, well, we sat down today, and he was more at ranting in his ideas.
Perfect, Amy, we can hear you now.
Oh, perfect.
All right, when you're ready, let me know.
Sure. So I am the co-founder of Pika, and we're bridging the gap between the class and the home using social emotional learning curriculum for both teachers to use in the classroom and for parents to reinforce at home. So I'm going to quickly share my screen so you can take a look at the platform. And just for context, we're actually, this is not working. I'm having some technical difficulties, but I'll just continue on. So we're a platform we'll be launching next week. So this is kind of an early preview of our program. We use our own illustrated storybooks. So currently we have 4 storybooks that we're piloting with our teachers. Starting next week, you'll be able to, anyone can log in and access a certain amount of the content. And we use the stories to kind of start the topic. So for example, if we teach self-regulation, we have a story with one of our characters, Leo the Hedgehog. He is excited about school but very nervous, and you see his journey going in through his first day at school. His father gives him a way to cope and get over his nervousness, and then he ends up sharing that tactic with his other classmates. And so our characters end up modeling this behavior and ways of coping with that nervousness and those feelings, and helping to self-regulate. And then teachers can use our lesson plans in the class to be able to teach and reinforce the topic. So for example, there would be activities all aligned to reading and writing standards to teach the concept in the class, and then with the click of a button, teachers can actually send an update to their parent community. So we pre-write all the summaries to make it really easy for teachers to get parents involved. Parents can actually, then reinforce the topic at home by rereading that same storybook at home, and they can also ask questions that we've pre-designed. So a teacher can easily say, a parent can ask a question. So if we're talking about gratitude, for example, one of our questions was, who in your family are you most grateful for? And you could have a discussion and dialogue. So it's meant to be really turnkey and easy for a parent to get involved as well. So I don't know. I think I see that you're on our website. I don't know if you can log in or
I know I have the login, but I don't have it handy with me at the moment. But I know that I have been using it a little bit. I know that it's mainly for junior primary, so up to year, correct me if I'm wrong, year 3, correct? The books are aimed for. So, but I've been using it with some of my English as a second language students, and they've really enjoyed it in the sense that the language is easy, where we read it together and then they can take it home and read it with their parents. So it's one of those sort of texts that is aimed through pictures and things that they're familiar with, that they can really engage and then sort of share that values through a picture story and interaction. So yeah, did you want to try sharing your screen again and see if it works?
I've been trying. I don't know why it's not working. Yeah, I don't know if it's just because I switched to Safari.
Maybe the computer's trying to wake up too.
I know.
Too early.
It's about 4:45 here.
Oh my gosh.
Really sorry about that. Here, let me try again.
No problem at all. I know that you are. Yes, we've got your share screen. Yay!
Yay! Okay, I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to create a brand new account so you guys can see. So for anyone who's interested, they could always message me on Twitter at pikapack.com, pikapack, or at amyshaw.ca, or they can email me at amy@pikapack.com. I'm happy to, as any viewers of this show, to give you know, a premium access to be able to try the content. So once the teacher logs in, they can access our units. They're all story-based, so you see our storybooks here. For example, right now, this is our season of kindness. So the topic is kindness. You can see there's an overview, how to introduce the topic, so why this is important, what the big ideas are. So we want to make it really easy and turnkey for any teacher to start picking this up. You'll notice that all our lessons are aligned to standards. So right now we're focused first starting off in the US, so it's the Common Core standards, but what we did is we made them all descriptive. So for any market, they're able to, you know, align it to their local reading and writing standards. So there's always a read aloud, and then there's 4 weekly lessons, which each lesson is broken up into these sessions, which mean about, you know, 15 to 20 minutes. So it's easy to integrate. So you'll see all that. I'm going to go back to the read aloud. So our storybooks are kind of key to all our lessons, as I mentioned. You'll see all our characters, so they're meant to reflect today's diversity in terms of being cultural, but also in terms of, you know, the different types of skill sets. So we have Ines, who loves programming. We have Leo, who's our hedgehog, who loves sculpting, or Menka, who likes building and is an aspiring architect. We use these vivid, you know, images and expressions, so a teacher can explore the topic in a fun and engaging way. And you'll see that, you know, the characters every month deal with a different and new challenge. So this is one of our storybooks, but for the grade 2 and 3 students, we actually have the same storyline in a chapter book format. So for, you know, all these early kind of primary age students, they're able to explore this topic with a common vocabulary. So you'll see that there's a whole kind of dialogue of, you know, what kind of questions to ask before, during, and after, and this really helps start the kind of discussion around the topic. To set up, you know, to be able to share with parents, all you have to do is actually just add in some students. We'll be launching a new bulk upload feature next week, so this will help, you know, a teacher be able to upload it. Although in the short term, because we are fairly new, we're actually happy to help set things up for teachers as well. Just email me again. So I'm going to show you Leo's test parent. I'm just going to create a. That actually, by setting up a parent, they get an invitation to join the platform. Let me go back, and you're able to be able to, like, invite their parents into the platform. So I can quickly show you that, actually. You'll see. So Ms. Shaw has sent a note to Leo's, you know, parents to join the platform. All they have to do is accept this. they would get this registration page with a video. So I'm Jill Shaw. I'm making this up. And then they'd be able to log in. They'd get an introductory of how the product works. And right now they don't have any messages, but as they go into the platform, they're able to be able to do those kind of things. So we'll show you how that works. So my time is up.
Yes, and thank you, Amy. I know that that's a really great way to even connect parents and students together in building those positive messages of kindness, etc. So what the school is saying, and also reinforcing that at home. So I think what you are creating there is great, and I know that you have been a great help for any schools that do want to get involved with using it and trialing it, to just get in contact with you. Did anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, Amy, does it work on any kind of platforms or devices, sorry?
Yes, it's web-based, so as long as you have an internet connection, most teachers are accessing, their side of the platform. I think it's best for desktop and iPad, but for parents, we realize that they definitely are connecting via mobile, so our parent site is accessible by all forms.
Cool.
Perfect. So that actually brings us to the end of tonight's show. So do not forget to vote for your favorite presenter. I'll just pop that slide up again. And we will actually be having January off. So January is the summer holidays here in Australia, so we won't actually be around for that. So we won't see you guys until the 1st of February. So on behalf of Michael and myself, we wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and good luck for the end of the year. I know no matter where you are in the world that you will have a busy time coming up, so we hope that you have fun in that time in your classrooms, and we look forward to bringing you a lot more of TeachTechPlay next year, and especially the conference. If you haven't got your tickets, I know that many people from overseas also want to come, but they said unfortunately they may not be able to come, so make sure you do get your tickets soon. It is going to be a great conference and a showcase of great learning from teachers who are currently teaching and in the classroom. As we know, it is designed by teachers for teachers, and it is a place where you can connect to all these wonderful educators and get real life examples of what works and what doesn't work in the classroom, and how to go about it, and make connections where you can connect with them after than just that 2 days at our conference. So Michael, was there anything else that you'd like to say? You're muted, by the way.
Just again, if you want to find out any information about our conference, it's you can access via the web address www.teachtechplayconference.com, and we're updating all the time with new lists of presenters and sponsors we're about to announce as well. It's turning out to be a very exciting project that we're starting, so hopefully we can see some of you there and meet a lot of you guys in person.
Thank you, Michael, and a huge thank you to our presenters, especially Blake and Paul, who jumped on at the last minute. And I know Beck Spink apologises, and she will definitely be on next year before the conference, so you can get a sneak peek of what she has to offer before then. So once again, a huge thank you for joining us tonight. We look forward to seeing you in the new year. So see you then. Bye.